Okay, so this next one, what we're going to look at is an attempt to break down monetary values, or within certain ranges, break down numeric values to provide information on what is the minimum quantity, minimum cost, minimum date, etc. What is the maximum cost, date, quantity, etc. And also look at taking an average. We're going to do it all on one so you can see the different values, so that you can then see that actually the business question that we're answering here is, what is the games with the lowest cost? What is the games with the highest cost? And what are the games average cost overall? Okay. Now for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to use the games table again, and we're going to use the console table again. So what I would like you to do is create yourself a new query. We should have 3 so far. This is our 4th. So we're going to have the games console, games and the console again. So create yourself a new query, George, with that create query design. Okay. Now, folks, you do not, sorry, no, I'll change that statement. Can I just ask, obviously, the chaps to stop in my room? You are not limited by adding a field name only once, okay? It's not like Highlander. There isn't always just one. You can have multiple field names and perform different functions, different queries based on that in the same question. So what we're going to have here, folks, is again, we're going to check by console, because that's nice and easy, and I don't expect you to remember all 12,000 entries for games. And then what I'd like you to do is put the price from the games table in 3 times, please. So I'm just going to add mine, and then I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. 1, 2. Okay. There we go. So that is how I want our query to look at this moment in time. I want the product on the left-hand side, because that's what I'm going to essentially check. And then I'm going to look at the minimum price. I'm going to look at the average price, and I'm going to look at the maximum price. There, or within this, I'll be able to see each console, what the lowest costing product is, what the highest product costing is within that console, and then an overall average. Yeah, nice and easy. This provides us a really nice overview. Bearing in mind, though, that once we find this information out, we might then run another query to find that data out and find which games are the lowest costing. Yeah? So I'm running a query to run a query. It's queryception. Okay, so we still need the total section, because it's deleted that off of mine at this moment in time. If it hasn't for yours, brilliant. So click your totals back on, folks. We don't want them all to be grouped by, because that's just going to be horrific. But what we are going to do is change some certain values here. So the first one, we're going to change this to minimum. That is going to display the lowest cost of any console game associated to the console that's displayed. If you still can't see that, folks, remember, 1 minute, let me just unmagnify a sec. To see what I've got, you need to make sure you click that totals, folks. Okay, and then you'll see the total row again. If you can't see the totals row, go to the ribbon, click totals, and then you'll be able to see it. The second option, you guessed it, we're going average, and the third option, we're going for maximum. This is just to show you the outputs that you can receive, yes? So think of it in this way. If I had a business question, take Pizza Hut or Domino's, whichever is your favourite, it doesn't really matter. What we could look at there is, what is the minimum topping cost that we are providing? What is the maximum topping cost we are providing? If a topping costs 10 quid, I'll just go to Tesco's and buy one. I think I could buy like 3 for 1 at Tesco's for a tenner. 3 for 1. But there are many ways that we can associate and use this data that's actually displayed to us. So let's look at the data. There we go. I'll just magnify this in again for you folks, just so we can see it. So, folks, listening, please. Thank you. So what we can see here is we've again got all of the product names. Let's do that. Now, the problem is, and looking at this data, I've queried it and I've got some erroneous data. I've got a GameCube game that costs nothing. Whew. I've got a Neo Geo game that is costing 20 pence. I mean, talk about breaking the bank. However, as we look down this list, we can see some actual pieces of data here working. So I've got a Game Gear game for £2.40, an old retro game for £2.40, and yet a PlayStation game I've got on for £0. 0 pence. If we look to the right-hand side, the maximum, we can see that actually most games that I am selling are around about the £20 margin. Fine, I'll take that. That's okay. But because my minimum price is errored on some of these games, now it might be that that game's out of stock. It might mean that actually somebody didn't enter the data correctly, just like the year that we looked at previously. But that's causing an issue with my average. From here, I would create another query. I'd start to look at something. Again, throwing it back out to the groups. I want to know if you're paying attention. I want to know your train of thought. So very, very quickly, into chat, please. With the data that you are seeing on the screen, the min, average, max, what kind of questions are popping up in your head that you would want to try and track down now? So we'll get them all into chat first, and then we'll pick a few and talk about some of them. So what do you want to find out now based on this data that you're seeing from this query? I like that one, Riley, yeah? Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Go on, have 3 folks, 2 of which from my group. A-levels, tech backs. 104 group, my group. Okay, yeah. So how many games are below and above the average price? Yeah, that'd be a good one to consider. Definitely want to see what game is free or costs £0. John, can you flipping heck, really can't talk today. John, can you give your mic to Riley for me, please?
I can. Hi, Riley.
Riley, just explain obviously why you would want to see that data.
Because you need to know what's making the minimum price so low, in case it's like a bug or something.
Okay, so I know without running the query, this might be a bit difficult, but what possible outcomes might you find that is causing that price to be so low? Why would something cost £0 in a business?
I'm coming to Annika. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
Human errors.
Aaron? Oh.
Data typed in incorrectly.
Human error. They've typed it incorrectly.
That's a good one. Yes.
Aaron, Ashley in my room's got a guess for it, actually. Well, Ashley, what do you think?
They just have no price to begin on the database.
So it's just empty.
Yep, so we've got human error, somebody not actually putting that data in, correct?
Did Ash just say null value?
Ooh.
Yeah, he did, basically. Not in a roundabout way, so there's just no data there in the first place.
Right, it's one of my massive bugbears. Can I, Aaron? Can I?
Yeah, let me just mute a second. I want to come back to Matty's point, actually, because he's got a good one as well.
Right. Ashley, so we've had two things. Annika said erroneous. It's been typed in incorrectly. And Ash Neil said is there wasn't a value put in the first place, which could also be human error. But my question here, one of my massive bugbears when you design a data entry form is allowing somebody to leave it blank. What does a blank entry on a field mean? Missing? Nothing? Null? We don't know. There's so many different things. Did they forget? Have they erroneously forgot it? Yes? Did they just miss it? Did they mean to leave it blank because they've got nothing to put in there? Now, by putting a 0 in there automatically, we've made an assumption that it is a 0 price. However, a null value means there's no data provided. It doesn't necessarily default to 0. And that could be why we've got it. So that could be, if we're looking at it, a problem with our data entry form. Yes? And our data entry processes. But one of the things I want to encourage you, when you do, whether it's programming, whether it's web design, whether it's databases, when you design a data entry form, do not allow them to leave it blank. Even if they have to put NA, not applicable. Because the NA says, I've made a conscious effort to fill it in, but it's definitely not something I need to provide you with. Does that make sense? Go on, Aaron, with Matty.
That's okay. So Matty and Charlotte have actually put into the chat, it's being given away for free, maybe, or demo. Brilliant, brilliant answers. So again, this data that we've got currently on board, this min, max, average, is not going to tell us that information, yeah? Our role now is we've identified errors in our data. Why are there zeros there? And we need to go and find that, yeah? John, again, going back to John being my boss, John comes to me and goes, Aaron, what the hell are you doing? Why are you giving games away for free? Well, when I scan them, John, they come up free, so I've got to give them free. Please don't fire me.
You're sacked.
Ah! Okay, brilliant. And I'm going to bring a concrete example. So, I mean, years and years ago, I used to work at Tesco. And I guarantee some of you will have found this previously. Have you ever seen or been yourself lucky where you've picked up a product that costs on the shelf 20, 30, however many pounds, gone to the till, scanned it, and it's gone, this costs 10 pence. What? Bargain. A 32 gigabyte SSD card for my camera, 10 pence. Should have been 30 quid. Yes, get in. Well, no, because as soon as they saw that, they went and took them off the shelf, so I couldn't. But what we're seeing now is actually this data shows errors. It is our responsibility to then query that data further. Does that make sense? Yeah? A query to identify errors that we can then go and find that information. So what Matty and Charlotte have stated there is, if I came back to, let's say, the games table itself, the only information I've got on here is a title, genre, developer, publisher, release date, quantity, cost, etc., etc. Yeah? There's no information on there for whether or not there's a promotion on it or whether it is a free trial of a game, yeah? I might then need to expand on my database. Good. So, min, fantastic. And again, like I say, you can look at anything on here. We've done it on price. You can look at quantity. You can look at dates, etc. You can look at ages. Who's the minimum age? What's the average age of my customers? All of these questions, all of these queries that we're looking at, it sounds like a really simple query, doesn't it? Yeah? Find the average of a number. Woohoo, simple mathematics 101. But if I was in a business and I was identifying that my average age of my customers are between 30 and 40, maybe that's where all my promotion goes. That's what we're trying to instill into you folks, yeah? So, again, coming back to our query now, I would like you to save that as query min AVG max. Simple as, yeah? And if we pause the recording there, John, well, I'll say pause.